Welcome back to Hazardous Endeavors.
Huzzah!
Hello.
We're still here.
Yes, indeed you are.
Surprise!
Where we last left our intrepid adventurers, you had succeeded in defeating Kavro Seldtih amidst his transformation into lichdom.
What a wanker.
Yeah.
Had any doubts?
I would like to clarify. I think we just swished around a little bit, and then the big giant half-orcs just moseyed on through and murder-fucked him.
He sort of crumped him. Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty much.
That was a thing. But we still all feel a little bit stronger afterwards.
Yes, indeed. For the astute listener, viewer at home, whichever you are,
Yes?
the party has leveled after this encounter. We've taken care of all that paperwork prior to the recording session so as to get right to the action here.
We did?
We did.
Okay.
If you didn't, then, well, guess what?
I did.
It's too late now.
I
Okay.
don't feel any stronger, but somehow I feel like I could perform like nobody's business.
Well, that's always
Guitars!
a benefit.
Dun, 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 dun.
Lindo, we probably should deal with the thing spewing dark magic
Oh,
first.
yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Good point.
There is that.
You are currently standing in the chamber below the throne room of the castle at the center of Kelenhall.
Is it a secret chamber?
It was a secret chamber.
Like a chamber of secrets?
Less basilisks. But in this case, the brazier of Ograd is there in the middle of a fairly large magic circle that is still slightly pulsating with kind of a sickly green light. So the idea that you guys are currently standing here is, I would say, you still feel like there is energy kind of pouring out of this circle. But Kavro's lifeless form has hit the ground. The last you heard from him was an illusion that that death will not stop him, and that him and his master will gather their forces at the place where the undead walk, which those of you who are, well, for example, Jaxom, where you kind of know the area a bit better, the Rotting Hills pretty much stands out as the best place to possibly go for this sort of thing. But when it comes to the undead, you know, in this particular instance, there's really only one place he could have gone. Elliot, you specifically, during the end of this fight, as his body kind of hits the ground and exhales his last kind of shaky breath, you kind of get this, because of how attuned you are to the arcane energies, you kind of get this image almost of like an ethereal double of his body kind of like shunted out of its body and wisps up into the ceiling and disappears.
Knowledge Arcana?
You may roll.
That would be a 26 with a natural 20.
Well, okay, a natural 20. So
Yeah.
upon seeing the ritual circle and all the things that have happened during the fight and what was going on, you get the idea that Kavro was in the midst of and had probably just completed the ritual required to become a lich, a very powerful undead.
Yeah.
The fact that it was so soon after this ritual was completed means that he wasn't at full power yet, which also kind of falls true with how weak a lot of the undead you have found in the city were.
Yeah.
You know, the tenuous control that he would have had to have over that massive amount in the middle of having this, you know, ritual that he's paying attention to.
I'm going to Bardic Lore something really quick. Oh, yeah. That's a lovely 2 on the dice.
Okay.
So, it's a ritual. It's a ritual by Philip Actory. Yeah, Philip of Actory.
Which, of course, you would
hate you.
realize that one of the parts becoming a lich is to attach your soul to a device or an item called a phylactery.
No, that's not it. It's obviously a ritual that was designed by Philip of Actory.
Okay. Thank you, Wilf. I'm going to go search first his body
Okay.
for an arcane focus that might be a phylactery, which I doubt is there.
Don't touch that.
And a
it's
spellbook.
icky.
You absolutely find a spell book. You do not find anything that looks like you've ever heard a phylactery described as. The fact that what can only be described as his soul exiting the building leads you to believe that his phylactery is elsewhere, which you also know, because of a natural 20, I'll give this to you, that after having their body destroyed, a lich basically its soul will retreat to that item, and then they will have to basically construct magically a new body. But when they're done, they're basically back up to fighting strength.
Yes.
How do you do that with no hands?
A lot of magic. But spellbook.
It's sort of like when you gather gas.
I will look at that.
It's like,
Probably
it's like
in
that
between
bubble inside your belly?
sessions.
yeah.
You can
And then you just
flip
let
through
it
it
all
now
out
if
at
you
once?
wish.
Yes. Is it
And
like
there's a lich.
specific spells?
Ah.
There are a great deal of spells, although the way that the spellbook is actually written is half journal, half spellbook. A lot of the spells are written kind of on like this one page, and then like 3 pages later you'll find another spell. In between that are the kind of rantings as they slowly become more and more depraved throughout this. As you're just flipping through pages, you're seeing kind of like Kavro's descent into this madness.
I see.
And the mention every few pages of an entity that he has contacted.
Okay. I'm going to put this away for now. I'm hoping Mr. Wilf is dealing with the ritual.
What
'cause
you
I
got over
cannot.
there?
That's actually something that I would like to attempt
It's a book. Do you want to read it?
Sure.
Is
It has no
taking a
pictures.
quick look about this
so good in
ritual
the reading
and how I
department.
can muck it about.
Maybe you read to me
without
later.
Actually making it explode.
Okay.
Alongside, the whole ability to cast dispel magic.
Right. So go ahead and make me an Arcana check, please.
Arcana check.
Yes.
That's a natural 20.
That is a
total of a
natural 20.
24.
That second of the session. Good job. So
Oh, that's silly.
So you look at the magic circle and all the things going on there, and you're fairly certain that you know the correct pattern that you would need to basically scuff the ground, destroy the circle, and kind of deactivate where all these energies are kind of flowing.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the likelihood of just randomly memorizing the patterns on the ground?
You could probably kind of...
I mean, like I don't need to know what it does.
You just stare at them so you remember what the pattern looks like. You give it your best. You try to sear it into your mind. Go ahead and give me an intelligence roll to see how it goes.
Yeah.
I am the smartest.
Yes.
Error! Ha-ha!
Yeah.
It is a 2.
Okay then. So you're staring at it and you're like, yeah, I got this. I will remember these patterns.
And then I start to smudge lines.
Yeah.
And then I get confused. But in the depths of my mind, I know.
Yes.
I have memorized this and will be able to perform it later. In case Elliot ever needs such things.
Right.
Isn't confused your normal state of mind?
What?
Okay, that's what I thought.
So Wilf, with your natural 20, you are fairly confident that you can disrupt this without causing undue harm to you and the people around you.
Yeah, let's mess up his spell. Sort of scuff it, spit on bits,
Okay. Yeah.
have Lindo dance through certain portions.
Wait, what? No.
Yeah,
I
do
tend
it.
to memorize this thing.
Yeah, no, I'll need you to do this. It's to save people.
Okay.
Do a pirouette right there.
And...
Pirouette.
Hada! Hada!
And jazz hands.
Oh, is that important?
Yes,
Okay,
it's
okay,
very
ja-
important.
jazz
It's
hands.
very important.
Okay,
I'll
I'm
show
jazz
you.
handing as fast as I can.
And I disassembled the ritual.
Okay. So over the course of about 5-10 minutes, you go through and you break the ritual circle.
Keep those jazz hands going, Lindo.
And upon doing so, the brazier of Ograd's, the flame that is roaring out the top of it, starts to die down and slowly go into kind of a more manageable size. You note that there's no
Izzle?
flame. Like, there's no heat coming from the flame.
Yeah, no, because we didn't light the fire.
Right.
No, it's always burning since the world's been turning.
Or at least since the War of Ascension, yeah. So,
No, we didn't light it, but we tried to fight it.
right.
Yep. Yep. Exactly how it goes.
Yep.
So you disrupt the ritual, you shut everything down, and that's when the air around you starts to feel a little bit more breathable, less stuffy, like a weight that you had just gotten used to being lifted from your shoulders, and it's almost like the area around you has like a sigh of relief.
Mr. Jaxom,
Yes,
you have the ability to sense undead, correct?
I do.
Could you use that right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Just in case there's any more oogies.
Yes.
Ghouls waiting in the wings. Wings waiting in the ghouls.
Okay.
It's
The what?
to 30 feet, and you
Wings
can
and
notice
ghouls?
fiends, undead, and celestials.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So Jackson, you detect.
I do this.
Okay. So you start. You say a brief prayer and you reach out your senses, trying to ascertain if there's any nearby of the aforementioned creature types. You do not detect any. And as a matter of fact, when I believe you had attempted it before, and you detected that there was this kind of aura, that the whole area kind of felt like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that was the case. But
It would make sense. Hallowed and unhallowed ground is part of that too.
right, so you're detecting that the area is feeling much more normal, like any other town or city you've been in.
Sounds like pennies from heaven. Because, divine sense.
Right.
You are just on it today,
Is there still things, Mr. Jaxom?
Mister.
This place is feeling a lot more clean than it was earlier.
Yeah, which is pretty good for a place that is literally covered in corpses.
At the moment, yeah, this whole room still has a decent amount of corpses laying around.
It's pretty whiffy.
I would much prefer not to be in this room.
I agree. But we should totally carry,
On?
well, I was going to say
Wayward
carry
Son?
this brazier back out and probably bring it to the temple so that they can
Might
do
be
their
a good
whole
idea.
cleanse.
We were given a mission by the late king. I think we should do something about that before we leave. As well as if we had any spells to let the people know that the realm is safe, that might be helpful too before we leave.
We could set fire to something. Or
Probably not our best option.
I'm just trying to think who can see a sign, and fire was all I have.
Hey, I mean, you could always
We could
just
go to
go
this-
up to the top of one of these turrets and say a certain word. I don't even think you'd get in trouble this time.
Oh.
Okay.
No, I think everybody would be scared. It
So-
has some
so you wish
particular
to-
connotations.
Put out some sort of announcement or alert, basically, that everything
Yeah.
is clear.
We could be like the.
More than just
Old
the temple.
times
I have a feeling that there's more survivors elsewhere in the city.
Let's go to the top of the roof and have a band concert. Eh?
I think,
I don't think that's loud enough, Lindo.
yeah, we're still rocking out some acoustics here. We need something to amplify it, though. That's
Tambourine.
actually,
Did I get my new spell slot? Is that full, or do I have to rest for that?
I would normally say that a rest, at least a short rest, would be required. But what do you have in mind?
I'm thinking a nice loud firework on top of the castle might do it.
Okay, yeah, that's totally doable. So,
Seems fair.
Elliot, you start making your way up into the castle,
Yep.
up some stairs, and
Watch out for skellies.
one of the northern parapets or the higher
Yep.
parapets.
Parapets.
Okay. Anyone else go with him, or are you guys just hanging out?
I think we should try to stick together, just in case there is something untoward.
All right.
Something you just need me to wreck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm gonna wreck it.
I believe you.
Okay, so
We go to the roof before Jackson wrecks anything.
so you start making your way through the castle. You very quickly find that as you're making your way through, you'll find places where there are corpses just laying there, as well as skeletons that have fallen apart where they stood. And it doesn't look like signs of battle, aside from the places where the actual like castle denizens had been attacked, but there looked to be places where undead were either standing guard or were patrolling, where they just fell where they stood. The necromantic magics holding them together, failing at the end of the ritual.
I don't suppose any of those, like, fallen apart skeletons have any gold teeth or anything, right?
You know, I would say,
Ew.
as they were people who worked in the
Ew.
castle, go ahead and give me a investigation.
Wilf. You.
Not like we haven't looted corpses before, Lindo.
It's not about
That's
the
a
corpse.
22.
It's about pulling teeth.
Okay, so a 22, your
Which is
investigation
ew.
does lead to at least one skeleton that had 2 gold teeth. So as you desecrate the corpses
Hey,
of
Jaxom.
the townsfolk...
What is that over there? And sleight of hand.
Sure.
What sleight of hand to pull teeth out of a... What?
What's your
That's
passive?
also a 22.
Okay, your passive perception is nowhere near
No,
that.
no.
So Wilf just kind of very quickly and subtly, well, quote unquote subtly, removes a couple gold teeth from this skull. And again, as you finish desecrating the corpse of a townsfolk, you make your way up to one of the higher walls. And as you make your way out, you're looking out over the city. There are still a few fires burning here and there, but overall, there is this kind of quiet that has taken over the city. You also note that the sky above, the darkness and the thick clouds that had gathered over the city are starting to dissipate, and you're actually seeing like moonlight start to peek through the clouds as they're thinning.
Oh, that's convenient because no one would be able to see your firework, Elliot, if it was not cleared up.
Oh, it's only 100 feet up.
So,
Hey, Lindo.
Eh.
Why don't you say hopscotch along with it?
Oh, okay, hold on.
I take a little bit of wax, shove them in my ears.
Yep.
right?
A hopscotch?
And
Okay, so Elliot, as you cast your spell and you shoot a was it a fireball?
Yeah, fireball.
Okay, so you're shooting a fireball, which, as you've previously explained, kind of shoots up like a spiraling, like bottle rocket up into the sky, and the echoing of the alarm
Why
stone
didn't I put any wax in my ears?
going along with the massive, 20-foot radius explosion that happens in the air above there, almost like a second sun briefly shining over the city of Kelenhall.
Fitting.
And
Raise the sun.
you actually hear, like, almost kind of just barely over the sounds of the wind and a couple of the fires and things like that, you can just barely make out what sounds like cheering from several places around. And from here, you actually have a fairly decent view of the main courtyards and the market squares in town, and you can see down to where the Church of Palor stands prominent next to one of said squares, and you see a bright light shining as the doors are opened, and you see figures standing in the doorway. You just barely make out a handful of them, but you're also able to make out in the moonlight and the light from that explosion what seemed like almost like the whole square around the church is just carpeted with the undead.
do you mean the re-undead?
The dead undead.
Re-dead.
The re-dead.
They are dead. They are
dead.
no longer moving. They look like they have fallen.
The re-dead.
The unanimated undead.
Yes. So you send out your flare. Do you guys wish to go and make contact with Bale and...
Not quite yet.
Okay.
I don't
Really?
We have one more mission to do before we leave the castle.
Yeah, you know that thing that the king asked us to do?
Which one was
about, about finding his son? Here's the thing. It's a secret, son. I don't think he's going to be keeping it in the castle because
Well, there was a secret chamber. Maybe
When
there's a
I
secret
was-
sun in the chamber.
when I tried to find out about the king, they're like, oh, he doesn't have any heir.
That doesn't necessarily mean that the information's not in the castle.
Yeah.
I would suggest looking in his room at least as a point to start.
Don't you think you should use your mind powers to let Bale know that we're at least, doing things? Don't you have mind powers?
I do, but I am tired.
Right.
Look tired.
You know that time that he threw the fireball and it wiped out all the zombies that were all around us?
And the time that he threw a fireball into the sky and told the whole entire village that we are good?
Yeah, it's probably pretty taxing. I'm just saying.
What is the percentage on that tax?
As you're about to walk away, by the way, you actually see at 1 or 2 points around the city, you see bolts of light shooting into the sky, streaming up from a couple different points.
Woo!
We're under
Good.
attack!
More people are safe.
Oh, I mean, safe.
Good.
Huzzah.
We might have a city after this.
So you make your way to, after a little bit of poking around in the castle, you're able to find the bed chambers of King Horus Westing. And
I bet you this place hasn't seen a lot of action.
Oh, it smells like old people.
it's almost worse than that. You actually make your way in. There's kind of the smell of incense and almost kind of a medicinal herbal quality.
Oh,
to the
it
air.
smells like ass and patchouli.
And
Like a hippie?
go ahead and roll me investigate for those of you who are scouring the room for anything of interest.
Investigation. Hell yeah.
All right. What do you got?
Behold, my powers of investigation flow at the gripping 11.
Okay, Elliot.
I'm slightly better with a 12.
Ooh.
It's a decent wall with a 5.
Okay.
Oh, I guess all I've got is my 19.
Okay.
These are lovely tapestries.
So, Lindo and Elliot, you note as you're poking around that the bed does not look like it has been slept in years.
I told you.
It looks like it's been made and almost like it was... Someone wanted to make it look like somebody had slept in it, but upon closer investigation, you note that it really hasn't, and it was almost staged to look like it was used. So the King Horus has not actually slept in that bed for a very long time.
Like the undead, they do not sleep, correct?
I don't think he was undead, you know, when you last...
Knowledge religion?
Yeah, sure.
That'd be a religion one.
Yeah.
When we went
17?
to dinner with him, he was still
Undead
alive.
don't generally sleep,
No.
except for very, very notable exceptions. But
They
I do
eat.
not know about these things.
Do they eat?
usually, yes, but in the different things. Certain undead don't eat at all. Certain undead have cravings where they have to eat specific things.
Is it like
Like
brains?
a white?
Yeah, whites generally don't have to eat. If anything, they drain the life essence from things.
That would explain why our good king wasn't eating during that dinner.
Oh, see? Ha ha! Ha ha ha!
Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha!
Does taste like elsewhere?
Right. Jaxom, you find a wall to be incredibly interesting. There seems to be very nice stonework, very good masonry. It's very interesting.
Okay.
Wilf, you start poking around and you find a cabinet, kind of an armoire that, you open to inspect. Oh, well, there's probably going to be some clothing, various things in here. As you open it, you find, surely enough, half of it does seem to have various robes and clothing that the king, would more than likely be wearing. The other half of it
Has
seems to be
chains
almost
and whips.
entirely made up of various alchemical substances.
Oh, sorry, that's mine.
Different things that you actually find things that look like preservatives, things that look like they're specifically used for making corpses look more presentable for, say, like funerals and things like that.
What's in there?
Jams and jellies.
Formaldehyde.
That's what I heard. Your preservatives,
A whole bunch of other things. I guess knowledge arcana for
Sure.
or do you want nature? It's the same either way.
I'll give it this particular one. I'd say Arcana.
All right, arcana. 14.
14. Several of the things in here look like they're used in spells that would disguise people, alter or changing the appearance of the recipient.
Like for an open casket?
Like for an open casket, or if you were parading around an animated corpse for several years.
Some of these bottles look like they've been here a very long time. Some of them in the back have a decent amount of dust on them.
This is Ukia and Ukia evidence.
What you trying to say?
It
That the king has been
means-
undead for like years?
It means that we're not going to find the information we're looking for here.
Indeed, that's the idea you're getting.
It means that Seldtih had, if the information was here, Seldtih would have found it. And if Seldtih would have found it, his son would be dead.
Oh, his son might be dead.
I don't
So-
think he is.
I guess the next step would be who knew the king very well when he was, up and lively, being heroic and what they have.
Think that would be a question we'd ask a library rather than...
Or Bale.
Or no, maybe.
We could ask Bale, because I'm sure, the king probably had a lady
Or the priest.
or a priest. I'm not here to judge.
It would have to be... I don't think the local town guard would know much about the day-to-day life of a king.
The servants might,
That's...
The undead ones?
if there's any left after this. Yeah.
We should
If there's any left.
meet up with the church, try to get them to help us hunt down and see if there's any servants left from the castle.
I would think servants that have been out of the castle for a number of years would be best.
Someone who was put out to pasture.
Yes. We might have a better chance of finding them, and they'd have...
Elliot! You hear this blaring in your mind suddenly. Elliot! Elliot, are you okay? Answer me! Are you there?
Elliot, is your face is making a
Are you
face.
there? Please tell us you're all right. As you hear a very familiar voice echoing in your mind.
Hey, listen!
Hi, Master. I am fine.
Oh, thank the gods! We heard what was happening. We heard all these terrible things happening in Kelenhall.
It is indeed quite terrible. I am
Elliot gone
fine.
mad?
Are you safe?
He's
And
talking
now
to himself.
No, I think
The
he's talking
battle's
to
over.
someone.
I was quite in the center of it.
Is this like when you talk to your
But
aliens?
are you harmed? Do we need to come
Don't
there?
make me hurt you.
No, but maybe. Not for me.
No. Oh.
Or do you think someone's praying to him?
The
he's a
town,
god,
the
right?
city,
Alien.
it probably
yeah.
needs help from a city that's still alive.
Very, very well. I will talk to the head of the priesthood, and I will see if maybe we can send some relief effort. Is everything okay there? Is it safe?
It is now.
Oh, good.
There's thousands dead.
Oh my word. But we'll have to see you soon. You're going to come home, yes?
Not at the moment, no. I have been given a mission from the late king before he expired.
The king is dead. Oh. I will contact you soon.
Yes.
I will contact you. Yes. Well, be safe, son. Be safe. And then the link just kind of fades.
Obviously, I think that's what happens when people pray.
He said your face gets really weird.
You're all right, Elliot.
The god
Yeah,
goes, oh no,
it's
stop
a
talking.
problem when your parents are also wizards.
Oh.
I see.
Oh, hey guys. I know we've been in this room for a little bit, but I'm pretty sure I left the screaming box stone thing up on the roof.
Lindo, keep track of your things.
I'm sorry, it's just still going on and it was loud, so I left it.
There are so few magic items. You shouldn't lose them.
Go get your toy.
Okay.
All right, so you run and retrieve the Stone of Alarm and presumably turn it-
Hopscotch.
Okay, there you go. And then you start making your way down into the town. Mm-hmm. All right, so as you're making your way through, you'll note that everywhere the undead were standing, they are now just piles of bone and flesh.
Hey, got
No
to say
longer
that-
animated. They've returned to just being the corpses of the townsfolk, as well as those that were raised from the nearby graveyard. So that is one thing you're noting now that was a little bit not quite apparent before. A good majority of the bodies that you're seeing are older. There are those you recognize as being guards, and especially the royal guard of the castle and some of the townsfolk, but a good majority of them seem much older, like they were raised from the graveyards and the crypts. So you're seeing less and less examples of wholesale slaughter of the townsfolk and more of possibly something that was planned out and that the ritual had basically gathered the easiest to raise before trying to turn those that were living undead.
That would be raising the stakes.
There are no undead cows that you see around here, at least.
So we see.
Right. You make your way down into town towards the Temple of Pelor.
It's like a squishy shag carpet.
Oh, don't step on them.
Oh, why,
Lindo, you're gonna ruin your boots. Again.
That's
what they
gonna
have you
get you
guys for, right?
sick.
So would undead cows be considered Black Angus?
Oh, man.
I like
don't
it.
get it.
Wow. Good job, Jaxom. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So you make your way out into the square in front of the church. And again, the doors are open and people are starting to file out. Some are running in the direction of some of the burning buildings with very strong intent. Bale is standing out and directing with his one good arm, the one not in a sling. He's pointing various directions with some of the surviving guards and some of the more able-bodied townsfolk. Seems to be directing them to form bucket chains and fire brigades to kind of, take care of what's happening. As you approach, he turns and this look of just relief washes over him. His hand goes over his chest and he breathes deeply. And he smiles, but that kind of pained smile of, I know something terrible has happened, but at least, we won.
Yes.
Hey, Bale, did you miss us?
Well, yes, I suppose.
Do not worry. We are safe and whole.
I'll admit I'm very curious as to what happened.
I killed the king. Well, I didn't kill the king. Jaxom killed the king.
Eyes just immediately go wide, and he looks.
No,
was
the
a white-
king
Oh, and his wife. We
was
killed his
undead.
Wife too. Well, not really, because it was whoosh.
And unfortunately, our Grand Vizier has completed a ritual to make him a type of undead that will come back.
Oh,
He at
gods.
least did not was not able to turn himself into a full lich.
I don't know if that's quite true. It sounds like the ritual is completed, but he hasn't gained all his power yet. We might be dealing with a much stronger creature the next time we face him.
I don't
we
like
have
that.
to do this again?
How soon? How quickly must we prepare our defenses?
A while. It will take a while for him for a body to form out of the phylactery.
Didn't he say something about going where the dead rise?
Yes, he's going to probably those hills.
The Rotting Hills.
Okay. Well,
But that's the least
Gotta
of
go
our
way up
worries.
there.
yes.
There are two things that happened also. One, Seldtih wasn't working alone. He had a master, somebody stronger than him.
His face goes very grim. He just nods.
Second, we got a mission from the king before he fell.
A mission.
Yes.
What did he say? You say he was a white? The king was an undead? Kavro raised him?
It looks like the king may have been dead for quite some time. When we checked his room, it wasn't really, I would say, lived in. And it was full of a whole lot of alchemical reagents that would be good for making a corpse look fresher.
Or unlived in. Oh.
Bale actually almost looks like he staggered, and he just is like kind of looking around confused.
Yeah, we're hitting you with a lot of hard truths
until
here.
he finally kind of looks up, and he is kind of almost squinting like he's thinking really hard, and he says, that seems to almost make too much sense now that you think. The king didn't make public appearances. His health seemed to be in constant decline, and yet never to the point of being bedridden for very long. This is troubling.
He didn't eat at the feast at all.
It's true.
Troubling, but done. We now need to look for a new leader, specifically his son.
He shakes his head, but the king did not have a son.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not according to the king himself.
The king's wife and child were killed nigh on 30 years ago.
How were
Doesn't
they
necessarily mean he doesn't have another.
The The queen and her, son at the time were sent out of the town during an uprising. There was a inner turmoil. They were sent out to keep them safe, but their carriage was attacked and they died on the roadside.
Where was that?
Excuse me?
Where was that?
Oh, that was east of the city, on the road. They were heading towards Kazdolatar, and they were attacked.
So, do we know if there's any... I mean, it's entirely possible, because nobility being nobility, I mean, I'm not trying to throw out any shade or anything, that the
Throwing
king
shade.
may have...
That's right, man. Jesse, I'm just throwing some shade here.
Well, I mean, shade as in, like, the undead, get it? But,
Yes, hilarious. Go on.
I know. It's entirely possible that the king, being, vital and strong as he was at one time in his life, may have had some other issues?
Oh, like a mistress.
Like issue as in a kid.
Well, yeah, you have to have a mistress to have
Out
a secondary
of
child.
necessarily legitimate wedlock and or thing.
I honestly
A
don't
little
know.
side dish, if you will.
The king, as far as I'm aware, never had any sort of relation after the queen died, but anything is possible, I assume.
I mean,
Well, we need to find this person if he exists. Would you be willing to help us?
He nods, says, absolutely. Whatever I can do, although, admittedly, we have more pressing matters to
It is
attend to at
true.
the moment.
If you can, we're gonna probably go to sleep pretty soon.
Yes, you have earned a rest. You have done so much for Kelenhall and Dariel. It's
But if you have any time, if you can find a servant who has been ousted a number of years ago, that might be helpful to us.
so maybe someone who was put out to the pasture.
perhaps tomorrow,
Pirate, what is with you
once
talking about
we
cows?
have figured what
Needs to
what
be
we can
done.
do. Yes.
I'd really like a steak.
Because these bodies need to be removed before they make the
I
townspeople
hear after
sick.
seeing so much that
nods.
steak is sometimes something to think about.
Maybe a nice potato.
Like medium rare? Like a medium rare potato?
We'll get some food before bed.
Right. That sounds like a good plan. Also, a bath. I mean, I understand that half the city is burning, and it's not going to be very likely.
In the future, Mr. Bale,
Yes. Yeah.
I now have the ability, I've just finished learning the spell, that I can communicate to specific people I know from long distances. I'm warning you this now, because I will probably use it on you.
Thank you. I suppose. I appreciate the forewarning.
Yep.
I assume it is somewhat disconcerting to have people randomly speaking at you out of nowhere.
You should see what happened when his parents called.
Just eyebrow raised, but he holds up a hand and says, we will have time to talk about that later. For now, please get some rest, and I have to organize putting out some of these fires before it's too late.
Yeah.
I wish you luck.
Let's go see if the inn is still,
Not on fire?
not on fire.
He motions to the Temple of Palor when he mentions taking a rest, but if you guys are heading off to the inn, that's fine too.
I mean, we've got beds there, and I think
Don't monks have beds?
they've got, like, cots.
Do they got like cots? Jaxom, do they have cots or beds?
So you guys are headed to the Swatted Talon?
We're going to see if the Swatted Talon is, in fact, still there.
Okay. So you make your way to the Swatted Talon. Sure enough, the building stands firm. It's far enough away from some of the fires that you aren't really concerned with it catching anytime soon. And you make your way in. The door is wide open. It looks like people in here left in a rather big hurry.
Are there any corpses?
You don't see any corpses inside. It just
thank
looks like
God.
there's a couple overturned tables and some chairs that were scattered. A couple steins on the ground rolling, and what was left in them has long since seeped into the floorboards and the sawdust that sprayed around here and there.
Hello?
You don't hear any answer.
Hello?
Okay, so I'm going to...
I set up like 4 chairs in the center of the room.
I put down
Around the
5
table.
coins and
Okay.
poured myself a drink.
Yeah.
All right, so
We're just tucking the coins behind the bar.
This doesn't look to be the most secure place at this point.
It's a perfect
I-
place to drop coin and drink.
think we just need a rest, and I don't think anybody will bother us here.
Also, they have a bathing chamber.
Right. So you drop some coins in the till, you pour some drinks, you sit around a table in the middle of the abandoned inn. There's still what's left of some logs in the fireplace. You're able to easily stoke those up, and yeah, just with a snap, Elliot lights the fire, and you guys are sitting, around a nice warm hearth in a abandoned inn. And you drink, you are able to scrounge some food, and you are able to get rest.
You know what, guys? Life is hard.
So the evening passes, you guys are able to get because again, you guys were fairly, you're pushing yourselves really hard to get to town in the first place. So this is the nicest rest you've gotten for a while. And luckily, you're not really interrupted at all during the whole process either.
Yeah, I mean, there's no fires nearby.
Early morning, though, as the sun is coming up, you do hear noises downstairs as the proprietor shows back up and meets you all as you're coming downstairs.
Oh, hey!
We didn't steal anything. There are coins on the counter, I promise.
Not a worry. From everything I've heard, you were instrumental to saving our town. So, as far as I'm concerned,
I didn't bring my guitar.
your rooms are on the house for now. It's whatever you need.
Much obliged.
How's your daughter?
She's doing okay. She was harmed a little during the run,
Right,
but
her.
she's doing okay. The priest saw to her.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
I'll get some breakfast started.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me take care of that. And he runs back to the kitchen, and you can immediately start hearing.
I was about to feel really awkward because I was just about to ask for that.
Hey, Wilf. I totally forgot he had a daughter.
You should keep that to yourself, Lindo.
To both of them.
So
Right.
the rest of the day, we're going to kind of zoom through this a little bit, is the townsfolk from wherever they bolted to, whether it be the basements or the barricaded houses or the church where they all went to safety, are all starting to make their way back out into the city. The fires did not seem to spread very far from where they were started, and most of the damage to the city seems to be located around the castle and the kind of central part of the city. The outskirts and the farther reaches got a little bit of it as the undead kind of spread out from the central location, but for the most part, vast majorities of the city were fairly untouched. A little bit of cleaning needed to take away some bodies and to unbarricade the houses that had boards put and tables thrown up across entryways to barricade them there.
Bring out your dead.
Yeah, it's a lot of that happening because,
Ew.
again, some of those who died, because a decent amount of people did die during the attacks, but again, a large percentage of the bodies seem to be those that were already interred, and they are being brought back to their respective burial places when they're able to find out where they actually came
God,
from.
that sounds like a hellish job to sort that out.
I mean, like, how do you even tell after they've been dead so long who they are anymore? I mean, like, you just throw a random skeleton
I
into
think
the
it's
thing.
more of a mass grave sort of situation.
No, they're probably going to burn them.
Yeah, absolutely. That is something that is happening to the northeast of town. They've already kind of gone to an area that was an old quarry, and carts are being gathered from all around the city to cart the dead out to this quarry, where they're basically going to burn and bury pretty much whatever they can.
See, now I want bacon.
No,
We just had
What?
steak.
Lindo, they would burn them due to the fact that usually when undead stuff happens, they usually burn the bodies to make sure they don't rise again.
Right. So, as you guys are waking up and kind of finding out what happened around town and what the current situation is, that is where we will end for today. So thank you very much for joining us, dear Digidicers. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Hazardous Endeavors, and until next time...
Game on, Internets!